grab your favorite beverage. It's time for Porch Therapy with Edward Dino and Keith Villery.
Hey, Keith, we've been encouraged by a lot of our listeners to try a video just to see how that would work out. So we're going to give it a whirl.
Here we are.
And they've also encouraged us, and I'm going to do it again, is that we introduce and say a little bit about ourselves before each one. And I'm just going to say, my friend Keith Villery.
Well, why don't you introduce yourself, huh? Let's do that.
Okay. Edward Dino. I'm a lifelong resident of Mandeville. I've been an attorney for almost 50 years. I've served in the legislature, worked on everything from economic development to environment to good government issues, and am very, very glad that I did that. I'm glad I'm not doing that kind of stuff anymore. And I've enjoyed working with you, Keith, during that time.
This has been fun. This is our 7th podcast in our first season. And it's our first video.
Yeah, and we haven't been canceled yet.
No. And you can find us at A Porch Podcast on YouTube or A Porch Podcast on Apple Podcasts. So check us out. You get a chance. As far as me, I was a mayor for 12 years in Covington, and it was an interesting time. It was when Clinton was in office, and around the time that Newt Gingrich did his weirdness and craziness, and when the parties started really polarizing, even at a local level. So got a lot accomplished in Covington. There's a lot of things we did that are still sustainable, and I'm very proud of the record I've done. So what's happening?
I might add that we both, even at that time, were representing very red jurisdictions.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we were both Democrats. I represented the most Republican parish in the state of Louisiana, and you represented a very red.
Back then there were a lot of people that were Democrats, but they didn't vote Democrat, and it's still the same today. There are a lot of Democrat registered, but they don't vote, and that leads me to think. In Louisiana, just changed their rules. They used to be independents, no more independents. Now they're no party, and I think they can choose to be in the Republican or the Democratic primaries and vote. So I'm a long Democrat, but I was thinking of changing to no party so I could vote in the Republican primaries.
Well, yeah, I mentioned that in an earlier podcast, and I've had several people talk to me and mention to me about your comment, and so we're going to need to check that out. And
yeah, we need.
Be sure what
I think
the
next podcast next time is going to be about state issues, Louisiana state issues. Right now we got a guy in the governor's who just sent 120 National Guard to Washington, D.C. And it's interesting because they're picking up trash. I've seen videos of them, sitting, and not to disparage the troops. They're going to do whatever their commander tells them to do. But picking up trash is really an unfortunate end to what they're trying to do. What are they trying to do? I guess the fact we have no wars, we're not sending them to Iraq and Afghanistan, and we don't have, so now we're sending them to these, what Trump conceives as these domestic war areas like Washington, D.C. Right. And then, it's crazy. It's crazy. But they're picking up trash, and that's really unfortunate for those individuals who have to do that. And then the other thing is, they're talking about deploying them in 19 states, of which a lot of them are red states. Trump is changing his tune a little bit. But the big issue right now is Chicago, and Governor, is it Pritzker? Pritzker, who said, don't come to Chicago.
Yeah. He looked pretty good. Keep in mind, not that long ago, they were deployed to the Mexican border.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right. They had absolutely no jurisdiction to do anything. And they basically did the same thing. And then we also saw photographs of the poor guys when they were deployed to California sleeping on the
Right.
floor.
Right. Right.
I mean, this is just
Well,
it's a mockery of men who have
yeah.
volunteered
Yeah.
to defend our country and are put to play political games for a president that needs to distract us from a economy that's going down, an alliance that he's destroying.
And from Epstein, I mean, a lot of this is trying to take the concentration off of Epstein, and we're gonna, we have all the files, and it's a massive amount of filing and files on Epstein, and what do? They released the transcription of Maxwell, who's a convicted sex offender. And of course, after his personal attorney meets with her, they move her to a country club prison.
Yeah, let me say something about that.
Which is incredible.
We've got a fella, Garcia, right?
Yeah.
I can't remember his full name. But anyway, he hasn't been convicted of anything.
No, he hasn't.
And they're going to send him to Uganda, right? That's what they want to do.
Why?
Never convicted of anything. Then they've got a convicted child molester, basically, of dozens and dozens of young girls. Their lives have been ruined, and it has caused tremendous amount of anguish to their families. Some have committed suicide. And all she has to do, she's convicted. Yeah. She's also indicted as a perjurer. All she has to do is not remember whether Donald Trump had anything to do with the girls. And they changed the regulation of the prisons to send her to a minimum security prison. And they want to send this Hispanic guy who has not been convicted of anything to Uganda. Now, if you can't see that, if you can't connect those dots, if you can't see what's going on in this country, it's sad.
Well, the most interesting thing about that is that they're taking the word of this convicted individual, but there are like 27 women who have come out and complained about sexual abuse by Trump, is what I understand, and they're not asking them any questions. They're only asking the convicted felon so that she can and possibly get a pardon, which is really unfortunate. Back the blue, right? Not so much.
Yeah, I don't know that they want to bring Hillary Clinton to testify because I don't know her Maxwell's nephew worked in her campaign or some real stretch, something that is. And here you've got her photographed all over the place with Donald Trump. Seems to me they need to be bringing him up before Congress and talking about it. The inability to see what's happening here is astounding. I look at this woman who is now a governor on the Fed board, and they're going to remove her because someone says she might have overstated the value of her property, and that's some sort of mortgage fraud. Now, the guy who just will not tolerate that this country's too good for that, has 34 convictions of doing basically the same thing.
Exactly.
I mean, it's just astounding to me. And just like when they raided John Bolton's house, right? Now, I'm not a big fan of John Bolton, and I think if they have to go ahead and raid somebody's house, he's as good as anybody.
Yeah, sure.
But they're charging him, which they will not tolerate, the bad keeping of classified information.
Right.
I mean, who can stand for that? Although Trump, there's photographs of classified information in bathrooms. It's amazing that just the complete unmitigated gall and unawareness that we're prosecuting people on rumors for things that we have convictions for or indictments for on the president, and there doesn't seem to be any accountability that needs to be done there.
Well, it's interesting you bring up this whole thing about indicting people. What they're doing in Washington, D.C. right now, they moved the military into Washington, D.C., and they've told the ICE thugs, I call them, to just arrest people. And the D.C., I guess, police, Metropolitan Police. So they're investigating, and not investigating, excuse me, they are arresting people for open containers.
Huh.
And not only are they're just, okay, well, we're going to, drop this, or you can go ahead and plead, or we're going to give you a ticket. No, they're bringing it all the way to court. What's happened in D.C., what's happening, there are about 13 judicial vacancies in Washington, D.C. Trump won't fill them. He's ramping up the arrests. The judges that are on the dockets are working till 1 and 2 o'clock in the morning with these ridiculous claims. The guy who threw the po' boy at
Don't tell me they've gotten that violent.
they refused to accept it. They refused to accept
They
it.
were throwing poor boys over there.
And there was another guy.
That's a felony in Louisiana.
And that open container as well.
Oh, Lord.
We don't live with those. Anyway, the point is that he's ramping up all these arrests. He's refusing to appoint additional judges. The courts are being all blocked up. And it's just a mess. And it's a mess caused by this guy who's supposed to be the most powerful person in the world. And it's because he has such great common sense. That's all I got to say.
That's all. That's all that needs to be said. Except you and I were talking earlier about the fellow that they've appointed that had never tried a case.
Oh yeah, the EPA. I'm not sure what his role is going to be at the EPA, but he's an attorney, and he has never tried a case. He's never done. He worked for a law firm for a year and a half before he was discharged and fired. And he is going to supervise 200 attorneys in the EPA. I mean, they're sloppy in their implementation of government. They don't know how to govern.
He just appointed an attorney who was involved in the fake electors scam to post fake electors up in the last pre-2020 election that were phony electors that were supposedly for Trump. I don't remember which state it was, but he just put him as attorney for the election integrities section of the Homeland Security.
Well, he appointed that guy who was yelling "kill, kill, kill" to the police in January 6th riot to some sensitive spot with Homeland Security or something, some sort of security spot. It's pretty depressing when you look at the details. Most people don't look at the details. Most people, like Paul Simon said, I get my news from the weather report.
Yeah. And I think that's happening more and more.
Well, I mean, and people get their news from Instagram or Facebook or all these different social media sites. And I don't follow Trump on Truth Social. I don't have a Twitter account. I don't have a Facebook account. I do have an Instagram account, and it is A Porch Podcast. So check us out on Instagram too.
I just what you'd mentioned about all of these important positions that are filled by incompetent ideologues.
Yeah.
Okay. And we don't need to go to Pete Hegseth too much anyway. I mean, I think, but what happened in the October attack of Israel, and Israel was known for the finest intelligence of any country, maybe in the world.
Yeah.
But certainly in the Mideast. And Netanyahu filled the military, just like our president's doing, with incompetent ideologues. And here, a fourth-rate Arab military force was able to outsmart what was supposed to be the most intelligent, competent intelligence organizations that had been completely degraded by the filling of its ranks with political incompetent ideologues.
I mean,
which is happening what we're doing.
Well, I mean, look at the 30 Fox News anchors, weekend anchors that are now in leadership positions in our government. You know, on the it's incredible. And of course, Fox News paid what, $787 million for lying. Oops. You know, it's very sloppy what they're doing, but they're making a mess, and that's the whole point. They're making a mess with everything, and they're trying to distract from Epstein or, you know, the immigration. I mean, we all realize that immigration laws need to be updated. I mean, what was it? Senator Cotton from Oklahoma, huh?
Arkansas.
Was it? Anyway,
Cotton is, yeah.
He was one of the main drivers in this revision to immigration law, and of course, Trump had it killed. And of course, they're not going to bring it up again because they're in total control. Let's take a little break. When we come back, I think we're going to talk a little bit about the midterms.
I could use a few more olives myself.
You know, now that we have our video, we're looking for guests. We're looking for people who want to show up and debate the issues with us.
Other courageous patriots.
Yeah, or not. No, what we need is some really good, solid Reagan Republicans.
Your brother.
Ooh. Maybe so.
Yeah, he'd be great.
Yeah, my brother was mayor of Mandeville, and he's a Republican, even though the Republican Party didn't really, I don't think, really embraced him that much. But
no.
But he did really well here for over 10 years.
He's really good.
He did a great job for Mandeville. And we may consider him. But if you'd like to be on the podcast, send us a line, aporchpodcast@gmail.com. You can find us on Apple Podcast and on YouTube. Well, on with the show. You know, talk about Trump in Alaska. You know, first he was going to Russia because he didn't remember that he was going to Alaska. Rolls out the red carpet for Putin. Goes there and has a line in the sand about a ceasefire. Got to get a ceasefire. That's number one. He leaves with, he didn't get a ceasefire. What he got was the recommendation to do away with mail-in ballots. Because Russia has no mail-in ballots and Putin wins all the time. So he comes back and says, Putin says, get rid of the mail-in ballots. And then, who was he talking to? He was in the Oval Office talking to somebody, and he pulls out a picture of Putin and says, wasn't this nice that he sent me a picture?
Now, this is a war criminal. This is somebody that can't go to most countries.
Can't go to a lot of countries. That's why he came to America.
Yeah, right. We were all out the red carpet for him. And the president said he was going to autograph that picture and send it back to him. That's what happened.
That's a really wonderful idea.
No, but
such a nice relationship.
As you put it beforehand, he went there looking for a ceasefire, and he came back wanting to do away with mail-in ballots.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's got a lot of common sense.
Well, you know, what he said was, and this leads into a lot of other things he said, he didn't want a ceasefire because what he wanted was a truce. He wanted an end to the war. And that looked like it was going to happen right away. That was all. Now now everybody knows we're nowhere near that. I mean, I know that we're nowhere near that. How the president of the United States didn't know that when he left Putin is beyond me. It's a little scary.
Well, it was a quick, and it sounded like the trip was cut short. And I don't think it was cut short because of our Trump. I think Putin runs the show and might have had another appointment. I'm not sure.
Well, he's been ostracized effectively by most of the free world, and our president decided to breach that action and welcome him and treat him like he's not a war criminal, and not an enemy. Can you imagine FDR doing that for Hitler?
No.
I mean, in the middle of a war, he's attacking. Even before 1941, bringing Hitler over here and treating him like that.
Royalty.
Even before we weren't at war with him, but he was attacking our allies.
Yeah.
I mean, this is an astounding new world.
It's definitely historic.
You can say that again.
And I do remember when he was running for office, he said he was going to solve this war in Ukraine even before he took office. After he got elected, he was going to solve 24 hours. And then he said it was sarcastic. I don't understand the sarcasm in that conversation.
In war, peace and war. I don't think that's something you're sarcastic about.
No, I don't either. But he's totally impotent with regard to trying to solve this problem. And so he just turns it over to, well, let's turn it over to Zelensky and Putin. Well, Putin won't meet with Zelensky, and it's a mess. Well, it's a real mess.
He's turning it over to basically a Manhattan real estate
negotiator. Yeah,
I mean, that's who's negotiating high-end diplomacy, dealing with war and peace. He's brought in a real estate developer from Manhattan to do the negotiating.
And it's interesting, he meets with Putin. Putin doesn't speak English really well, or at least that's what he thinks. And he'll meet with him without a translator. It is sloppy. I mean, at every level, it's very sloppy. Yeah. I still believe it's a cosplay, where we have these Fox News people who are pretty in front of the camera. 2025, Project 2025 is running the show in the background because they couldn't get approved. But all these beautiful people have been approved, and it's just sloppy because they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, as you mentioned, Trump said he was going to end inflation on day one. He was going to bring peace to Ukraine, maybe before he took office, which is, of course, didn't happen. And but he still has the nerve to wear a hat that says Trump was right about everything.
Well, that's his new hat that he has.
Has he been wearing?
He has a display in the Oval Office that sells those products.
Mm-hmm. Well, the one that says Trump.
That's his new one.
Considering the two biggest things going on is inflation and the war in Ukraine, which he was absolutely wrong about, you have to hand it to him to stand in front of a camera wearing a hat that says Trump is right about everything.
It's really funny what's happening right now with Gavin Newsom. He's trolling him at every level. And so, you see all these things online with Gavin Newsom with this beautiful body build with his face, or him with Melania, or him with Ivanka. And it's just what Trump has been doing. So it just shows how ridiculous Trump has been, or his supporters and followers. Anyway, it's a real crazy world, and it has really made the presidency cheap. It's cheapened the presidency, but he has a lot of common sense.
Mm-hmm. And he's an ethical genius too.
Well, he's a stable genius.
Oh, a stable genius. But
he said the other day he was pretty smart.
If you Google presidents and IQ, they list the presidents and their IQ, and when they get to Trump, it says 160. So he says. But
Well, there's some concerns about his health. I mean, he's always had a little touch of dementia, I think, based upon his conversations. What did he call that when he was? It was a circular or something. He would talk, he'd go off on a
Oh,
tangent,
right. Oh, yeah.
come
What did
back,
call
and
that?
he thought
A
that was
weave. His weave.
his weave. He thought that was brilliant,
Yeah.
and he weaves pretty much every day. But the most interesting thing is when the when his cabinet gets together and gushes over him.
The dear leader thing.
How wonderfully Kim Jong Un doesn't have
No.
that type of support.
No. I mean, I'm astounded. He said he could shoot a person on Fifth Avenue and wouldn't lose a vote, and he's probably right about that.
That's probably true. I mean, he would never lose a Republican vote. Let's say that. I mean, even his latest polls are in the tank for most everything. But when they separate the Republicans out, they support him at 80%.
Yeah, he had none of this has affected his support amongst the Republican Party.
No, it's just it's amazing. And I know some Republicans who some voted for him, some didn't vote for him. But it's kind of like, what's that lady's name from Maine?
Oh yeah, Susan
Collins.
Susan Collins.
It's like, oh, she's a moderate. Same thing with Lisa Murkowski. Oh, they're moderates. They vote 100% with Trump.
Well, Susan Collins, to me, she says all the right things and does all the wrong things.
It's the last one who gets to her, I think.
I don't know. And
they booed her and yelled, "Shame, shame, shame." She was cutting the ribbon for something in Maine, and had about 200 protesters who were giving her a hard time. And she's kind of old too, she's an old broad.
Well, she voted to confirm all those Supreme Court justices.
Exactly.
I mean, and it says that they lied to her on Roe versus Wade.
But they keep lying to her, and she keeps voting for them.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, it's. I mean, I'm going back to the midterms because that's what's coming up, and I really do believe that it's so important that people vote and vote the right way. Of course, it's going to take a long time to repair the damages that have been done by this president, and it's interesting that Biden couldn't forgive student loans, but this guy has stopped how much appropriations that Congress has done, from USAID to research in universities. He's cut everything. Biden couldn't cut student loans.
He's nullified appropriations. I mean, to get where we are with him, we've had to trample on so many provisions of the Constitution to get where we are. And keep in mind, in his first term, the Emoluments Clause, which prevents the president from receiving anything of personal value in his role as president, he called it the phony Emoluments Clause. I mean,
he's doing it right now.
Well, this is a guy who's sworn to uphold the Constitution.
He is the number one. What did he say? He is the he which is kind of scary, because basically what he's telling people is he's the law.
Yeah.
And I wish I could remember his exact words. Next week I'll come up with it. But just the idea that he now is running the
world.
In the DOJ. I'm not sure about the world right now, because the world, I don't think, really looks favorably on him, except for Hungary, North Korea, Russia.
Yeah, it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing to watch world leaders in such a almost a camp way of praising him and talk, just.
Well, they know how to suck up to get what they want.
Yeah, and that's just so embarrassing.
When he came back from Alaska, then he got all these European leaders to come to the White House, to the Oval Office, with Zelensky to talk about it. And I think that Italian, is it a prime minister? She was rolling her eyes, constantly over the craziness that he was talking about. And she's I thought, very conservative.
Yeah, she
She's
is.
very right wing,
She's very right
but
wing.
still thought, what is this guy talking about? It's pretty embarrassing, and how these people can stand with him. I assume they're all making money out of this deal. You know that the grift it's part of the crime family. I assume they're all investing before anybody else knows to invest. I don't know. I know Marjorie Taylor has her income.
You don't
has
think
gone
there's
up
any
considerably.
insider trading going on in the White House? That's against the law. I'm sure that's not being done.
Well, it used to be restricted to just congressmen. Now I think it's everybody who works for Trump.
Well, he was. I mean, he got his Senator Hawley to exempt him out of the insider trading bill.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, oh yeah,
That's good. He gives little plums like that to a lot of people.
yeah. So anyway, well, next week we'll get together and we'll talk about redistricting,
Gerrymandering, whatever they
gerrymandering.
want to call it, and what's going to happen in the future.
Yeah,
with
the
that,
midterms are important.
yeah, the midterms are important, and maybe we'll find a Republican between now and then who would be willing to come and talk to us about all these great things.
And I want to give a special shout out to all of our French viewers out
Oh
there.
yeah, don't forget them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, if you want to ask us a question, send us an email to aporchpodcast@gmail.com, and maybe we'll read it on the air. And let us know. Let us know what you think we are doing good, what we're doing bad. Well, not what we're doing bad. Just let us know we're doing good. Anyway, we'll see you maybe next week.
Yeah.
Until then, peace out.